For the entirety of the brief 18 years I have spent breathing on this planet, I have never once remembered love being a foreign concept to me. Love was a constant. I have long since known what love sounded like from the cramped back seat of my father's black Toyota Altis when I was only 8 years old. Love sounded like the click of seatbelts and the fuss of not having enough leg space, and my mother's awful crooning to the radio and my father's laughter. Love looked like the view of the ocean high up from the mountaintops and smelled like the sea breeze that wafted through open car windows. Love, in a concept, were road trips, with my father's one hand on the steering wheel and the other lightly resting on my mother's open palm. My parents were the image of absolute domestic bliss, and I was the naive little girl who fell in love with love before I fell victim to it myself. As an eager, lovesick child, I would cut out my parents' faces out of old family photos and glue them on bond paper with doodled red hearts and the words love and forever written all over in a large loopy font. And my parents would laugh and thank me over my less than subpar masterpieces. And despite the fact that they were shit, my mother would tuck all of them away in a plastic case she kept inside a drawer. And every year on their anniversary, my father would pick up flowers in different shades of pinks, reds, yellows, oranges, a whole crayon box of roses and tulips and dandelions, and my mother would drive herself crazy for weeks trying to keep the flowers alive in her little vase for as long as possible while they slowly wilted. And on days when work went particularly bad for my dad, a box of chocolate-covered biscuits would magically appear in the refrigerator overnight, and my father, with his penchant for the chocolate-covered biscuits, would eat all of it in one sitting until all he was left with were little balls of foil. And sometimes we would never run out of it for weeks, and for weeks my mother would enter the house with a slightly bulkier handbag. And weekends only meant two things for a family. One was that Saturdays were always for Saturdays, which meant late nights of computer play for the kids and even later nights of dinner and dating for the parents. And two was that Sundays always meant sleeping in and arriving late for family lunches at my grandma's. And maybe it was that. The dates and the flowers and chocolate biscuits, I don't know what it was that made me fall so blind to the flaws that were there, but it wasn't until years later when I first heard the smash of a plate and the crack of a slap, when I realized how very, very wrong everyone was. You see, my mother, she claims to have made me out of love, but now I only see hatred. Hatred in the crack of my father's windshield, in the empty spot on the king-sized bed that was meant for two. Hatred in the way my mother does not live under the same roof, in the knowledge that on family days only one parent will have to do. And I know I claimed that love had never been a foreign concept to me, but so was hate, and so was fear. And so were the words dishonesty and discontentment and separation and annulment. I had always thought that my vocabulary was wider than most others, but how was it that I couldn't find the words to describe, to explain what annulment was when my little sister asked me to define what it meant for a family? I was caught unprepared and left at a loss, unable to comprehend it for myself, and so instead I tried to comprehend it for them, for my two sisters and my one brother. I told them it meant some things will have to be different and that most of everything else will be the same. But things have never been the same. Our road trips are quieter now. There is less fussing and more leg space, and although the ocean view and the mountain tops are just as beautiful, things are different now. What used to be a day that my mother anticipated for months on end is only another day at the office without the accompanying crayon box bouquet. My father no longer has to come up with something new to give her every year. Things are different now. My father still has his Saturdays, only now he has 4 new people to seat and 1 less person to tease. Sundays still mean going to church with my mother and occasionally having lunch at my grandma's with 1 less person to invite. I guess it's safe to say that things are different now. It is because of this. It is because of the realization of knowing that love changes without warning that makes me fear love. Like a kick to the chest, I was bombarded with the knowledge that marriage doesn't always end till death do you part, nor do years of being together mean more years of staying together. Love is not always a strong enough word to play synonym to faithfulness. Love is not always a strong enough excuse to end arguments. Love is not always a strong enough motive to keep it together for the kids. And love is not always a strong enough apology to warrant forgiveness. And love is not always a strong enough reason to stay. Thank you.